guys! So I promised myself that I wouldn't give my opinion about the Ferguson case until I knew more of the facts, and yesterday a video showing Michael Brown robbing a convenience store was released, as well as the name of the offending officer. I don't really like giving my opinions when I don't know most of, let alone all of, the facts of a case. So I'm just going to give you the facts as they're being reported and then kind of give you my opinion based on those facts. So first of all, when the story broke, the media used the headline, "Another unarmed black teen shot dead." This they used to invoke the image of Trayvon Martin and began speculating about maybe a racial aspect of the case, which is always great. And then the protests began, and while some people were in their own little corner protesting peacefully, there were others who used the death of this teenager to steal and loot stores, to hurt people, to smoke drugs in the street, to publicly drink and then assault people. And my opinion on these people is not only do they not care about Michael Brown or what happened to him, but they don't care about the pursuit of justice in this case. They don't care that, you know, facts are being hidden or released late or whatever. They are just using it as an excuse to violate others' property. And they really don't have a purpose here in this case. So Michael's parents come out a little bit later and commendably ask for peace because of all the rioting that's been going on. But then they go on to say that their son was kindly and innocent and very nonviolent. And while I might believe that, the security camera footage from the convenience store shows otherwise. After taking the cigars or cigarettes or whatever, he then assaulted the vastly smaller store manager for trying to protect his property and trying to take his merchandise back because he knew Michael wasn't going to pay for it. So after he assaults him, the store manager goes back to Michael, and who then uses, you know, he gets in his face and uses intimidation to kind of keep him away. So Reverend Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson arrived on the scene immediately, and Al Sharpton was greeted less than warmly. People don't believe that he's actually doing anything for the case, and there are a lot of people who are assuming that he's just there to kind of stir the racial aspect a little bit. Reverend Jesse Jackson said, and I quote, "Michael Brown was killed worse than a dog." He also expressed frustration at the foot dragging by the police force in releasing the name of this officer, and it happens to be Darren Wilson. Obama threw his 2 cents in, as he tends to do when the victim of a crime is black. So take that what you will. Okay, so I'm going to give my opinion, and I'm first going to attack the idea that the police released this video as a smear tactic towards Michael. I believe that they released this video because of the idea that he was so kind and he was nonviolent and he wouldn't have stood for any of this ridiculousness that was going on. Bystanders alleged that Michael Brown had leaned inside the patrol car of Officer Wilson and was struggling with him for his handgun when the first shot was fired. I think this video does a lot to put the potential behaviors of Mr. Brown into context. Just by saying that he was nonviolent, that doesn't necessarily make it so. That might be your opinion, that might have been the side of him that you saw, but for the rest of us, we would like to lend credibility, or we'd like to know that this video lends credibility to the idea that the bystanders were telling the truth, that he had the potential to be violent, that he had the potential to commit a crime. All this video does is show that it's not entirely out of the question for this scenario to have taken place. It's also possible that maybe Mr. Brown thought the officer was after him because of his theft. So he might have, you know, been a little more agitated than he would have if he had just been stopped for walking down the middle of the road, which is dangerous, by the way, not only for you, but for the drivers around you, people that are trying to go to and from work to support their families, and you're sitting there blocking traffic because you felt like it. So those are my thoughts on that. Next, I want to talk about Reverends Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson descending upon Ferguson like vultures on a fresh carcass. These men are so desperate to sustain their ever-waning relevance that they will go wherever the cameras are. They will show the right amount of indignation. They will try to say all of the right things to kind of sustain themselves in the public light, and then they go, they get their 15 minutes, they march, they shake hands, you know, they yell out no justice, no peace a couple of times, and then they're gone. They're back in the air, circling, waiting for another case. What the funny part is, I don't hear anything from them in regards to Chicago or Philadelphia or Detroit, where blacks are shooting blacks every day. But one case, one child was shot, and don't get me wrong, it is tragic, and they're all over it. I personally think it's a little ridiculous, and I think their priorities might be a little bit skewed due to media. Now onto the bones of the case. Rumors are going around saying that the officer fired up to 10 shots at Michael Brown. I don't know how many of these hit. I don't even know if this is all true. But my next part is going to be about if this rumor is true. And if it turns out not to be, then you can completely disregard this part of the video. I believe that after the initial shot took place, the officer had an obligation to subdue Mr. Brown in a nonviolent manner, because I don't care who you are, I don't care how big you are, one shot is usually enough to make you sit down and reevaluate things, unless you're on bath salts, of course. The shots that were fired, if there were 10 of them, that's kind of a bit much. That seems like excessive force. Especially if the rumor is true that he did put up his hands and ask the officer not to shoot. Should he have complied with the officer? Yes, because he was breaking a law by walking down the middle of the road. He was disrupting traffic, and he was making life generally miserable for everybody else. Should the officer have shot him 10 times? No. But should Michael Brown, if it's true, have leaned through the officer's window and tried to struggle with him for his handgun? No. So after the first shot, I believe he should have called an ambulance and kept his gun on Mr. Brown and his squeaky little friend here in the corner, and kind of held them till reinforcements arrived, till the ambulance arrived to check out Mr. Brown. So that's my spiel. Like it? Then give it a thumbs up, share it, comment your opinion on the case, and we can have a great discussion on that. If you have any topics that you'd like to see discussed, you can message me on Facebook, you can leave them in a comment, or you can message me here on YouTube. All the links to the story, to my page, and to any updates that might be coming through are going to be below. And just have an amazing day, because this story really shows that life can end in an instant, and you never know when that is. So, like I said, have an amazing day, and God bless.